let's be real. We're in a race against time. So today, we're going to break down this huge global fight against climate change, looking right at our source material to really understand what's at stake, what the game plan is, and, where we all fit in.
Wow, that quote really hits home, doesn't it? This isn't some far-off problem for our grandkids to worry about. The source is making it crystal clear. That window is closing, and it's closing fast. The urgency is right now. And that idea, that feeling, really frames everything we're about to talk about. All right, so to really wrap our heads around this, our first section, A Planet on Alert, is all about what's actually on the line. We're going to look at the real, tangible effects that we're already seeing all around us. And the core message from our source couldn't be clearer. Look, we're not just talking about the weather being a little weird here. What we're actually up against is an environmental crisis on a scale humanity has just never, ever dealt with before. And this isn't some abstract future problem. You can see the symptoms everywhere. The source points to global temperatures that are just shooting up, causing damage to ecosystems that many scientists fear we can never undo. And we see it playing out in real time, right? These scorching heat waves, these insane floods, they're making whole parts of the planet incredibly difficult to even live in. Okay, so after hearing all that, it's easy to feel a little hopeless. But here's the thing. It's not all doom and gloom. There's a massive, coordinated effort underway to fight back. So, what does that global response actually look like? And this slide just perfectly lays out the massive shift we need to make. On one side, you've got our reality today, an entire global economy that is just deeply hooked on fossil fuels. And on the other side, you've got the goal. It's ambitious, for sure, but it's absolutely necessary. A huge, significant cut in carbon emissions by the middle of the century. So, what's the key to making that jump? Well, it all comes down to renewable energy. The source is super clear on this. This technology is the absolute heart of the solution. By tapping into the power of wind, the sun, and water, we get access to energy sources that, unlike fossil fuels, literally never run out. Okay, so how do we actually do this? Well, the global strategy is basically a three-pronged attack. First, you get countries to agree on the same targets through big international treaties. Second, you follow the money. You pour billions into developing these renewable technologies. And third, you hold big industries accountable with much tougher rules on pollution. But a plan this huge, it's never going to be that easy, right? Of course not. It's bound to hit some serious roadblocks. And that brings us to the uphill battle. All the major headwinds that are slowing things down. This chart really breaks down what's causing all the friction. So look at this. The biggest chunk, 40%, is just how tangled up our economies are with oil and gas. That's a huge hurdle. Then another 35% is just politics. Getting everyone to agree and actually stick to the plan is, well, it's a slow and kind of frustrating process. And finally, the last 25% is the raw cost and the logistical nightmare of building totally new infrastructure.
So the bottom line here, the crucial point the source makes is this. Even though the goal is clear and we have a strategy, the path to get there is anything but a straight line. It's a journey that's absolutely packed with challenges.
Which naturally leads to the big question, right? When you're staring down economic dependency and political gridlock, what's the next move? How do you keep things from grinding to a halt? And the answer, maybe a little surprisingly, pulls the focus away from the global stage and zooms right in on our own daily lives. It starts with the power of each and every one of us. And the source material is really emphatic about this. Even with all those massive, top-level challenges, the things we do as individuals aren't just a nice-to-have. They're a crucial piece of the puzzle. And we're not talking about vague ideas here. These are concrete, everyday things. Like choosing the bus or an EV over a gas car. Maybe eating a little less meat. Cutting back on single-use plastics. And this is a big one. Just talking about it, promoting education, so that we all become more aware. And that brings us to our final section, which really ties everything together. It shows us that this isn't about choosing between government policy or individual action. It has to be both. It's a collective responsibility. So yes, we absolutely need that big picture, top-down approach. We need the international agreements and the national regulations. That's what sets the stage for change on a massive scale. But, and this is a huge but, policy by itself is not enough. It's only half the story. It has to be met with action from the ground up, from all of us. The choices we make every single day are what create the demand for a greener world. So there it is. That's the winning combo.
Think of it like a giant ship, right? The governments are at the helm, steering and setting the course. But it's the collective energy of the people, that's us, that powers the engine and actually moves the whole thing forward.
And this is the note our source material leaves us on. It doesn't sugarcoat things. The challenge is enormous, maybe the biggest one we've ever faced. But it is not impossible. This is a battle that, with everyone working together, humanity can win. So, as we wrap this up, the final question isn't for the policymakers or the scientists, it's for you. In this great race against time, in the battle of our lifetime, what part are you going to play?